For years, the truth stayed hidden, the victims forgotten, the cases left cold. Until science revealed what time could not. This is decades in the dark, where cold cases are brought back to light. A young woman steps into an elevator. She presses multiple buttons, one after another, as if urgency is building. Then she waits, but nothing happens. The doors stay open. She leans forward slightly and peeks into the hallway, cautiously, like she's trying to see something without being seen. Then she steps out, looking left and right in quick, tense movements. Moments later, she moves back inside the elevator and presses herself flat against the wall, hiding, like someone is just outside the frame. Then something changes. Her movements become unpredictable. Her hands move in sharp, almost exaggerated motions, as if she's reacting to something, or someone, that isn't visible. She steps out one last time, and then she's gone. This footage would go viral across the world and leave millions asking the same question. What was Elisa Lam running from? Or was she running from anything at all? In January of 2013, 21-year-old Elisa Lam arrived in Los Angeles, traveling alone. She was a student at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, thoughtful, creative, and deeply introspective. She documented her life through writing, sharing her thoughts openly on Tumblr. Through her posts, you could see someone searching, someone trying to understand herself and the world around her. But woven into those entries was something more difficult. Elisa had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. It was something she managed with medication, something she lived with every day. It didn't define her, but it was always there, just beneath the surface. At first, her trip seemed normal. She explored the city, took photos, and kept in touch with her family. She had promised to call home every day, and for a while, she kept that promise. Until suddenly, she didn't. Elisa was staying at the Cecil Hotel, a place with a long and unsettling history. Over the decades, it had been linked to suicides, violent crimes, and even serial killers who had once stayed within its walls. By 2013, parts of the hotel had been rebranded to attract younger travelers, but its past hadn't disappeared. It lingered, in the halls, in the stories, and in the reputation that followed it. When Elisa first checked in, she was placed in a shared room. But something quickly went wrong. Her roommates began complaining about her behavior, describing it as unusual, disruptive, and at times unsettling. There were reports that she had been leaving strange notes, even telling them to go away. Because of this, she was moved to a private room, and shortly after that, she vanished. At first, it wasn't immediately obvious something was wrong. Travelers change plans. They go off the grid. But Elisa didn't do that. She had a routine. She called home every day. And when those calls stopped, her parents knew something wasn't right. They contacted authorities, and a search began. Police canvassed the area, searched the hotel, and spoke to staff and guests. But there was no clear sign of what had happened. No witnesses, no evidence of a struggle, no answers. Then, nearly 2 weeks later, police released the video, the elevator footage. The last confirmed sighting of Elisa Lam alive. The world watched. And almost instantly the theories began. People replayed the footage over and over, frame by frame, trying to understand what they were seeing. Some believed she was being followed, pointing to the way she hid and peeked into the hallway. Others believed she was communicating with someone just outside the frame. There were theories about a cover-up, about the hotel being involved, and even suggestions of something supernatural. The Cecil Hotel's dark reputation only fueled the speculation. But speculation isn't evidence. Nearly 3 weeks after Elisa disappeared, something changed. Guests at the hotel began complaining. The water pressure was low. The water tasted strange. Some even reported discoloration. A maintenance worker was sent to investigate. He went to the rooftop and checked the water tanks. Inside one of them, he found Elisa. The discovery shocked everyone and raised even more questions. How did she get there? The roof was believed to be secure, with reports of locked doors and alarms that should have been triggered. The tank itself required climbing up and entering through a heavy lid. To many, it didn't seem possible. But when investigators looked deeper, the case began to shift. The autopsy revealed no signs of trauma, no evidence of a struggle, and no indication that someone else had harmed her. The toxicology report showed no alcohol and no illicit drugs. but there were inconsistencies in her prescribed medication levels. For someone living with bipolar disorder, that detail matters. Missing or irregular medication can trigger severe episodes that include paranoia, confusion, impulsive behavior, and even hallucinations. Suddenly, the elevator footage begins to look different. What if Elisa wasn't reacting to a real person? What if she believed someone was there? The fear we see in that footage may have been completely real to her. Her movements, the hiding, the gestures, the urgency, begin to align with someone experiencing a psychological episode. Someone trying to escape something that feels real but isn't physically present. Investigators also revisited how she could have reached the roof, and what they found was important. The roof was not as inaccessible as initially believed. There were ways to reach it, including external fire escapes, and no confirmed evidence that alarms had been triggered that night. The tank lid itself was not locked or sealed, meaning it was possible, not easy, not obvious, but possible. In a state of fear or disorientation, Elisa may have made her way to the roof, believing she was escaping something. But once inside the tank, there was no easy way out. The sides were too high, the water too deep, and the space too confined. The official ruling was accidental drowning, with bipolar disorder listed as a contributing factor. There was no evidence of homicide, no sign of another person's involvement. But for many people, that explanation never felt like enough, because the footage still feels unsettling, incomplete, like something is missing. And when something feels that way, the human mind tries to fill in the gaps, with theories, with fear, with stories. But sometimes, the truth isn't a conspiracy. It isn't a cover-up. It isn't something hidden just out of frame. Sometimes the truth is quieter than that, more human, more fragile, and far more heartbreaking. Was Elisa Lam running from something in that hallway? Or was she running from something no one else could see? This is Decades in the Dark, where science brings the past to light. Subscribe for more stories where justice never expires.